is up? What is up? Let me know. Let me know if you can hear me okay, guys. Oh, I haven't even... What an absolute clown. Haven't even got my monitor up. Just give me 2 seconds. And let me know in the live chat if you can hear me okay, guys. And we will be needing this as well, just for a little moment there. Right, guys, let me know if you can hear me in the live chat while I get everything set up for this this weigh-in reaction video. First ever one. Remember, we're in a transitional period this week while I'm getting the grips and kind of setting up my new PC. So, let me know in the live chat if you can hear me okay. Cool, sound all good? Sound all good, guys? There we go, ready to get going. So, obviously we're in a transitional period. I haven't been putting out many breakdown videos over the last couple of weeks while I've been fixing out all the teething problems. Let me see. Yeah, camera's okay. Fixing all the teething problems with this PC. But I am using this week to try some experimental content that we could do on a weekly basis if you guys like it. And this is one of the first experimental videos that I've done where I will be watching the weigh-ins with you guys and we'll be reacting to them live to kind of dig up if there's anything that could maybe give us another edge in betting or push us into betting on one of the fighters competing tomorrow night at UFC Vancouver. So everything seems to be cool. So I've timed the live stream on purpose for this time because obviously we've got the early weigh-ins which took place, I don't know, maybe like 12 hours ago, and then we've also got the ceremonial weigh-ins which is scheduled to start in 20 minutes. So I thought we can fly through the early weigh-ins now, and then we can also look at the ceremonial weigh-ins. We can pack both in. So let's just hit play. The only thing that I want to double check is which media outlet had the best video for us to watch. So MMA Fighting's is pretty good. Cool. Right, yeah, it looks like it's going to be MMA Fighting. So just to let you guys know, haven't watched these yet. This is part of my research process. And I'm just going to be watching these weigh-ins and giving you my thoughts as we go. So I will also keep an eye on the live chat. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll answer them as we go. So the first guy up, this is Cole Smith. Very, very good to see him looking quite good on the scales here. Cole Smith is abnormally huge for the division. So if I just bring up his record here, he is abnormally huge for his division. So you'd think you'd have quite a rough weight cut. This is Cole Smith. He is 5'11". So absolutely huge for a bantamweight, and he will have an enormous size advantage over Miles Johns, his opponent this weekend. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they match up in the stare down at the ceremonial weigh-ins. This is one of the fights I'm most interested in from the weigh-in perspective, to see how both guys look at the weigh-ins. And very, very good to see very good to see Cole Smith there looking so good despite the fact that he's huge. And I also just want to check, I'm pretty sure, because we haven't got audio for this, I'm pretty sure the only guy that missed weight is Michel Pereira. Just have a skim through. Okay, so he missed weight by 1 pound and Tristan Conley weighed in light. So we'll keep this open as well, just to see what both guys weighed in at, because we haven't got any audio. So yes, Miles Johns and Cole Smith. Cole Smith weighed in at 135 pounds. Looked absolutely great, which is quite impressive for a guy that's so big for the division. Next up, let's skip ahead. Who have we got next? This is Jim Crute. So how is Jim Crute looking as he approaches the scale? Let's take a look. And not looking great, to be honest. Not looking great as he walks the scale. Lacks a bit of energy. Face quite sucked in. Doesn't look too happy. Doesn't look too comfortable here. And obviously it looks like our boy Jimmy Crute has got to go to the towel as well, which is never what you want to see, particularly in the higher weight classes. Obviously, he is a big boy. Love his Resident Evil tattoo, though. For anyone that is a fan of Resident Evil, you will respect this tattoo. Probably the best tattoo in the game. That might be a Dreamcast tattoo as well. That might be a second gaming tattoo. But this is, of course, the Umbrella logo from Resident Evil. Jim Crute cracking a joke there. You know, a little reference to DC's towel trick. Didn't look too comfortable when he was getting onto the scale, but he looks alright now. Looks quite comfortable. He's going to make it. Playing some games with his pecs there. Steps off nice and easy, and I'm pretty sure he weighed in at, what have we got? Jimmy Crute, 205 pounds right on the button, so didn't even need the extra pound allowance. And even though he did look a little bit subdued, you know, a little bit lethargic, lacking a bit of energy, looks alright here. And he's definitely got his energy back now that he's weighed in. Perhaps it was just a bit of nerves weighing in. Maybe he just rolled out of bed and that's why he was looking a bit rough. Remember that these fighters do weigh in very, very early in the morning. And now we have got... who is this guy? This is Hunter Azure. I'm pretty sure this is Hunter Azure. Obviously making his UFC debut this weekend. Came from Dana White's Contender series. Didn't recognise him at first, but certainly looks absolutely great on the scale here. This is a card with a lot of debutants. And Hunter Azure, yeah, looks absolutely superb in his UFC debut. I think this is Hunter Azure. Please correct me if I'm wrong. He is fighting Brad Katona, weighed in at 135 pounds. Never in doubt. No bueno. Who have we got next? So we have got... This looks like Kyle Prepelec stepping up to weigh in. Prepelec weighed in at... Where is Mr. Prepelec? 155 pounds. He is fighting Austin Hubbard, another fighter that looks absolutely great stepping onto the scales here. Very lean, very shredded, but doesn't look unhealthy for it. Face certainly not that sucked in. Doesn't look that dehydrated. Full of energy, full of beans, looking pretty happy with himself. And yeah, Mr. Prepelec looking very nice indeed. No red flags there. Who have we got next? This is going to be Mr. Ryan McDonald. I know that a lot of people are fading Mr. McDonald this weekend. He is fighting Louis Smoker. Face certainly looks a little bit sucked in here. He is also a big boy for the division, though, if I just check the tail of the tape. Where are we? Where is Mr. McDonald? Here he is, right down the bottom against Smoker. So McDonald is 5'11", which again, just like Cole Smith, very, very tall for a bantamweight compared to... Oh, I think Smoker's about 5'10", actually. No, he's 5'9". But yeah, no surprise to see McDonald looking a little bit sucked in, weighing in at 5'11" for a bantamweight fight. But doesn't look too bad. You know, face only a little bit sucked in, nothing major. Still, you know, body looking pretty healthy, pretty comfortable. Doesn't look too rough. Not amazing, but not like a skeleton either. And certainly seems very happy with himself that he's made weight there. One of the liver dogs this weekend, I think, especially considering all the personal issues, the demons that Louis Smoker battles outside the cage. Definitely Mr. Smoker is not one to be trusted, and when Ryan McDonald is such a huge underdog, obviously, you know, McDonald from a technical point of view is not very good, but Smoker, not really sure if he's mentally there. And here we see Uriah Hall rocking the AirPods and looking in phenomenal shape. Mr. Hall looking very smug, very confident. He is looking absolutely amazing here. This is, if you're betting on a fighter, this is what you want them to look like at weigh-in day. Relaxed, happy, comfortable, healthy, not dehydrated, face not sunken in. Hall looks fucking great. If you are betting Uriah Hall this weekend, but the first box is ticked. That's all I got to say. He looks great. Obviously, he's been training at Fortis MMA for this fight. Shoeface is a giant flake box. Of course, this is a tough matchup for Mr. Hall, which is reflected in the odds because he is a giant underdog. It's a tough fight for Mr. Hall because obviously his takedown offense isn't great. His ground game isn't great, and Shoeface is a nightmare on the ground. But he is very explosive. He is very difficult to tie up, and he is certainly in good spirits. certainly in good spirits and looking absolutely superb there. Next up, we have Mr. Katona flying all the way from Dublin, Ireland, training at SBG Ireland. Looking very good here initially. We'll wait for him to take his glasses off. Shouldn't be too much of a cut for Katona, actually. Katona is quite small for the bantamweight division. I think he's only about 5'7". Oh, he's 5'6". I was close, not quite on the money. Face a little sunken in, but nothing major. Shouldn't be too much of a difficult cut at 5'6" to make the bantamweight limit. Katona looks pretty standard there. Cheeks sunken in a little bit, but nothing major. No major red flags for Mr. Katona. Next up, we have got, who is this? Mr. Misha Serkinov, one of the more inconsistent fighters on the card, one of the flakier fighters on the card, but one of the fighters I know a lot of people are interested in betting. This weekend, he has got a good stylistic matchup against Jimmy Crute. Jimmy Crute initially looked like he might have had a tough cut, but then, looked okay after he weighed in, started cracking some jokes, and I mean, how can you write anyone off with a Resident Evil tattoo on their chest? And this is Mr. Misha Serkinov looking very standard, very normal, very healthy, no red flags there. Who is this? I've still got a few fights left to research on this card. This looks like a debutant. Who is this guy? This guy must be... Who is this? This must be Mr. Tristan Connolly. I have not researched this fight yet, so I do apologise, guys. Still have this fight to research, which is the reason why I didn't recognise Mr. Connolly. How ignorant of me. How unprofessional. And I do apologise. It's very disrespectful towards Tristan Connolly. That is not good enough. I need to do better. But I am quite far behind on my research this weekend. Connolly's stepping up on 4 or 5 days notice to take this fight against Michel Pereira. So the reason why I didn't recognise him. Haven't researched this fight yet, but taking the fight on short notice and looking very good, looking very healthy. Does that mean he's going up a weight class though? For a fighter to look that good on such short notice possibly means that he's going up a weight class. Let's take a look here. So last few fights, lightweight. Oh, this is not good. This is not good for Mr. Connolly. This is not good at all. So all his recent fights have been at lightweight. This fight is at welterweight. So that's the reason why he looks so good. He's actually moving up a weight class to fight Pereira in welterweight division, which is a weight class above his normal weight. And that's extra bad news for Mr. Connolly, because Pereira, of course, did miss weight by 1 pound, and also Pereira has competed as high as the light heavyweight division. Here we can see this fight was at light heavyweight. This fight was at 190 pounds. This fight was at middleweight. This fight was at middleweight. And this fight was at 175. So Pereira's competed in all kinds of different weight classes. But at 6'1" with a 71-inch reach, going up against Connolly, 5'10", reach not known. This is a tough matchup for Connolly just in terms of size. Size matters in MMA. He is a huge underdog. Where is Mr. Connolly? He is a massive underdog, and I can see why, because, this might end up being a light heavyweight fight in a lightweight. And no wonder he looks so good on the scales when he's taking a fight up a normal weight class. Righto, let's move on to the next one. Who have we got weighing in next? This is Mr. Jeff Hughes. Tough matchup this weekend against Todd Duffy. Todd Duffy is a tough matchup for anyone. Duffy is no picnic no matter who you are. Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic, DC, any of the top heavyweights would have their hands full with Todd Duffy. He is the kind of guy that fights with a kill or be killed style. Very, very dangerous. And Jeff Hughes looking pretty standard here. What is the weight difference in this though? Is it like a 10-15 pound weight difference? No, it's only 5 pounds. Hughes weighed in at 251. Mr. Duffy in at 241. No red flags there. This is Jordan Griffin, straight out of Rufus Sport. Looking pretty damn healthy here. Rocking one hell of a hairdo as well. Got the 1980s vibe going on. Looks very, very good actually. looks like he means business. Face not too sunken in, not too dehydrated. Body looks very, very healthy. He looks ready to go, and of course he is fighting Chaz Skelly this weekend, looking very mean, very ready to go. Certainly no red flags there. He looks great on. Here's our boy, Mr. Donald Cerrone, everybody's, the people's champ, the people's favourite fighter. Everyone loves Donald. Of course, I do have a small bet on Mr. Cerrone this weekend, hoping that he can do the unthinkable and come through for us in a big way. But obviously he's got his hands full, because Justin Gaethje is an absolute goddamn nightmare. And of course, Cerrone will be at big risk of being knocked out, particularly early, with the way he fights with his hands low and his chin up high and exposed. But here he is with his son stepping on the scales. Interesting. So Cerrone always looks like shit at the weigh-ins. This is the first time I've seen this. Cerrone always looks like shit at the weigh-ins, but I will say this. This is the best I've seen him look at a lightweight weigh-in in a very long time. Very, very long time. Cerrone doesn't look as bad here as I thought he would. He looked absolutely dreadful at his last two weigh-ins for the Iaquinta and Ferguson fights. Doesn't look too bad here at all. Face not as sunken in or dehydrated as he usually is. Of course, Cerrone's never going to look good at weigh-ins, but certainly not as bad as he had looked in the past. So if you've got money on Cerrone like I do, not bad. Little victory. Certainly not as bad as we've seen from him in the past. So certainly an encouraging sign there as we move on. And I'm sure, okay, Glover, Mr. Glover here, stepping up, looking like Heihachi from Tekken, just like Heihachi. Even at 39 years old, you cannot count Glover out of a fist fight. He is an absolute beast, looking in great shape. You know what? I've just said Cerrone looked the best we have seen him look over the last few years at 155 weighing in. Glover looks pretty fucking good as well. I mean, it's no secret that Glover has been on a pretty steep decline for a few years now since that knockout loss to Rumble Johnson. But he's looking in great shape. At times throughout his career, Glover's looked a little bit soft, but Glover looks in very, very good shape here. And of course, he's starting to look a bit old, but definitely looks like he's taken the camp for this fight seriously. Glover looking in the best shape we've seen him in a while. Very, very interesting there. And we will wait to see how his opponent Nikita Krylov looks. But Glover looking pretty damn good compared to usual. Next up, this is another debutant. It is the guy fighting Cole Smith. This is Miles Johns making his UFC debut. Got his shot in the UFC after winning a fight on Dana White's Contender series, which is interesting because I didn't actually think he looked good in that fight. But here he is, trains out of Fortis MMA, looking very confident, very comfortable, and looking absolutely superb. This weight cut looks like an absolute breeze for him, and I would expect it to be a breeze for him. He's only 5'7". He's quite small, and he competes in the bantamweight division, which is not going to be too much of a cut for him when he is that size. Now, this is Mr. Shoeface, which is not a disrespectful term. It is an endearing term because Mr. Shoeface likes to be called Shoeface, even though he's a pretty good-looking chap, in my opinion. And, of course, we saw his opponent, Uriah Hall, look absolutely spectacular early on. In fact, I would even go as far as saying, out of all the fighters we've seen weigh in so far, Uriah Hall has looked the best, and Shoeface not looking amazing here, but looking pretty standard. It's a big cut for Shoeface to 185 pounds. You know, Shoeface did start his career as a heavyweight, so it's always going to be a rough cut for him. His face sunken in a little bit here, not looking the healthiest, but it's always a brutal cut for Shoeface. He made the weight, which is the main thing, and I mean, really, cardio and conditioning is probably not going to come into this fight. This fight's pretty much going to be decided by whether Shoeface can get the fight to the ground before Uriah Hall lands a bomb to punch his head off his shoulders. So Shoeface never going to be looking amazing, but it's a tough cut, and he looked okay. I'd compare Shoeface to Cerrone, actually. I mean, whenever guys like Shoeface or Cerrone weigh in, you know they're going to have a brutal cut. You know, Cerrone's a big guy, always has a tough cut. Same with Shoeface, used to fight a heavyweight, but They look about as good as they ever have had in the past, weighing in their respective divisions. So if you've got money on Shoeface this weekend, again, box tick, that's a good sign. Next up, who do we have coming up next? This is Augusto Sakai. And you may say, if you are not balls deep in MMA and UFC like me, and you do not obsess about the physiques of other grown men like I do, you may be thinking, oh shit, I'm betting against this guy, he looks like shit, he is skinny fat, he's flabby, he's got the man boobs, he is rocking the big gut. Do not be alarmed, this is how Augusto Sakai always looks. Nothing out of the ordinary here, certainly looks pretty good, pretty standard. No red flags here, and I love his tattoo. That is a pretty cool tattoo. I'm not a tattoo guy myself, but pretty cool. And I've always wondered, Sakai does, I guess, look a little bit Asian, even though he's Brazilian, and that seems to be a Japanese-influenced tattoo. So I wonder if he's got like a Japanese parent or something, despite being from Brazil. Certainly looks like there's some Asian culture in there. And next up, we saw Glover look very good a few moments ago. Here is his opponent, Nikita Krylov, also looking very good indeed. Krylov looking pretty standard, pretty healthy, very, very muscular, looking like the big, strong, powerful, young, hungry bull that we know he is. Krylov looking excellent. No red flags there. Should be a good fight between him and Glover. Next up, who is this? This is Mr. Austin Hubbard. Has had one fight in the UFC. Believe it was against Davy Ramos. Or am I wrong? Was it against? It was against someone pretty fucking good, and he held his own. It was against Davy Ramos. My memory served me well. And this is his second fight in the UFC, looking very healthy on the scales here. Absolutely no red flags there. So if you've got money on Hubbard this weekend again, I need to give myself a slap on the wrist. Wait a second. Who is this? Who is this guy looking like a fucking extra off Baywatch? Slap my hand for everything that I said about Louis Smoker. I need to fucking slap my hand, fucking slap it. I questioned, in the breakdown video that I put out this week, I questioned Louis Smoker's motivation and dependability, I guess. I questioned Louis Smoker. Well, I need to shut the fuck up, because Louis Smoker looks very good here. This is the best shape I have ever seen Louis Smoker. I'm telling you, boys. Smoker looks good. If you've got money on Smoker this weekend, I said it about Cerrone earlier on. Can't remember who else I said it on. Uriah Hall. If you've got money on Louis Smoker this weekend, big box ticked, boys, because that is the best shape I have ever seen Louis Smoker in. I need to shut the fuck up. Smoker looks real good. And I'm glad, man. I love MMA, right? I respect any fighter that's got the balls to step into the cage and fight in their underwear in front of millions of people. I don't like to talk negatively about fighters, because they are more of a man than I will ever be. I would never have the balls to do what they do. I respect every single MMA fighter so much, so I hate to talk about Smoker in the light that I had to talk about him in the breakdown video, but it's my fucking job. I've got to do it to make a living, right? And when you see a fighter talk about all the struggles they've gone through all those demons, battling alcoholism, battling motivation and depression and anxiety, and they fucking bounce back, and you see them look in the best shape of their career after suffering a really bad loss in his last fight against Matt Schnell. Shout out to Smoker, man. I really hope he does well this weekend, because you can see that he's put in one hell of a fucking training camp. Thank you very much, Rona Project, for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it, mate. I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, dude. And this is Mr. Marcin Tybura. Again, do not be alarmed. His opponent earlier on, Augusto Sakai, was looking quite soft, quite flabby. Don't panic. Marcin Tybura also not looking in the best shape, but this is standard for Tybura. In fact, he actually looks a little bit bigger than usual. What is he weighed in at here? He's not usually this big. Interesting. So both guys are around about the same in the 258-pound ballpark, 6 or 7 pounds shy of the heavyweight limit. Oh, we've got the official weigh-in started as well, boys. We need to whiz through the rest of this video. But anyway, I was just about to say, Marcin Tybura is pretty standard, and what I would say, even though Sakai and Tybura don't look in the best shape, they both have great cardio. Their cardio's never in doubt. Never have to worry about their cardio. Next up, Mr. Justin Gaethje. The weigh-in is never in question with Mr. Gaethje. Gaethje always looks amazing on the scales. Gaethje doesn't cut much weight to make 155 pounds. You know he's going to look absolutely outstanding. Has a very, very good stylistic matchup this weekend against Donald Cerrone. How are his eyes looking though? He's been battling an eye infection. Can we get any clues here without him wearing those sunglasses that he's been wearing all week to try and cover up the extent of the damage to his eyes? Can't really tell much from this shot. Looks pretty fine to me. Great on the scales as always. His eyes don't seem to be giving him any issues. No signs of damage. Doesn't appear to be struggling to keep his eyes open with the lights like he suggested he may do in the media day interview. So yeah, Gaethje looking good as always. If you've got money on Gaethje this weekend, which I know many of you watching have, big tick there. And Todd Duffy looking casual as fuck, trying to step onto the scales fully clothed. Gotta love Todd Duffy. I don't know why he's going to try and weigh in fully clothed, because Augusto Sakai and Tybura, and before he turns around, let's see if I'm right, Augusto Sakai and Tybura stepped on the scales without a shirt on, and they are rocking the dad bod. And you know Todd Duffy's always ripped and looking in good shape, so I'm sure he looks like a Ralph Lauren model or something as he steps on the scales. Maybe not. Okay, interesting. This is perhaps a talking point for us, which is annoying because the actual ceremonial weigh-ins are just about to start. And let's get rid of this because it's full of morons. The actual ceremonial weigh-ins are just about to start, but this is a talking point. So if you go back in the breakdown video for the fight between Duffy and Hughes, I spoke about this being the first time we've seen Todd Duffy compete under the USADA drug testing era of the UFC. And while I'm not accusing Todd Duffy of taking performance-enhancing drugs, when a fighter competes under USADA for the first time, it's a big talking point, right? Because a large percentage of fighters do take supplements and performance-enhancing drugs pre-USADA, which are now prohibited. So that may affect their performance in a post-USADA era. And what I will say is, you know, Todd Duffy's still only 33 years old. You would still expect him to be in very, very good shape here. You know, he is only 33 years old, but here we can see him, you know, that in a pre-USADA era. Here's what he looked like before. We can get it up on, if we go to the Google, we go to the Google here. We can see the difference in appearance. This is what Todd Duffy looked like pre-USADA. Before USADA drug testing, that's post-USADA. I don't know when I'm assuming this is pre-USADA as well, because he certainly doesn't look like that now. These are pre-USADA shots. Pre-USADA, right? Pre-USADA. But certainly doesn't look like that anymore. So I'm not accusing him of anything, but will Todd Duffy look the same in a post-USADA era as he did in pre-USADA UFC? Certainly does not look as ripped or as muscular as he did before the strict drug testing came into play. This is Mr. Michel Pereira, the guy who is fighting his second fight in the UFC against Austin Hubbard. Missed weight by 1 pound. Certainly doesn't look happy with himself. Go into the towel here. And Tristan Connolly fighting at welterweight, moving up for lightweight to take this fight. Michel Pereira has fought at light heavyweight multiple times throughout his career. He has taken this fight at welterweight, so no surprise to see him struggling with a weight cut here and struggling to make weight. He does miss weight by 1 pound. Doesn't look too bad though. Doesn't look like he killed himself to make. He didn't make weight, but doesn't look like he's killed himself through the weight cut. Miss weight by 1 pound. It is what it is. He will fight for the second time this weekend. And is that it? Is there anyone else? Looks like there is. Mr. Chaz Skelly. Skelly, again, never looks great. It's not a tough weight cut for him. He just doesn't really have the athlete's body. Looking pretty standard. No red flags there. Doesn't look great, but pretty damn normal for Mr. Chaz Skelly. And now we go on to the next section of the video. Let's just drop it back a little bit so we don't miss anyone. Who is this? Right, let's drop it back. And this is now the ceremonial weigh-ins, where we get to see fighters' body language. We get to see, any size differences, anything like that. Also get a chance to see how fighters have recovered since the weigh-ins. You know, fighters that look rough, like Cerrone, Shoeface, guys like that. Get a chance to see what they're looking like. So this is the first one at Prepelec against Hubbard. So let's skip ahead through this. See what Mr. Hubbard looks like on the scales. Really, we've seen all this. We just want to basically see the weigh-ins. Sorry, the stare down, size differences, body language, all that kind of stuff. So that's Mr. Hubbard looking very, very good. Mr. Prepelec is about to walk out here. Where is Mr. Prepelec? Underdog this weekend. Oh, thanks very much, Chris, for the super chat, man. I really, really appreciate it, mate. Thank you very, very much, dude. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, dude. Thanks a lot. And this is the stare down, so nothing major here, guys. Both guys looking good. Both guys roughly the same size. No size advantages here. Pretty standard face-off. Nothing really to speak of. Next up, Smoker versus McDonald. And Smoker obviously looked absolutely amazing at the early weigh-ins. Ryan McDonald, not so much. You know, he's a big guy. 5'10", competing in the bantamweight division. He's a big boy. His face was sucked in. Let's see how he's recovered here, 8 hours later. Let's take a look as the camera give us a shot head on. Looking pretty standard. Not as sucked in as usual. I think he's just a guy with high cheekbones. Don't think he was that sucked in at all in hindsight, seeing him now. Just a dude with high cheekbones and looking pretty good. Smoker walking in, looking calm, looking relaxed. I believe this is Colin Oyama in his corner. Obviously moving to California away from Hawaii to live and train for this fight. Smoker, absolutely no doubt in my mind, this is the best shape I have ever seen Louis Smoker look. If you have got money on Smoker this weekend, just know he's likely to show up and look better than ever. But McDonald, that's a little bit annoying. There was a little glimpse of a bit of a size advantage here as Smoker walks up to him. You can see here McDonald with quite a big size advantage, perhaps quite a big height advantage. Both of them are wearing footwear, so it's not like one of the guys hasn't got shoes on, so there's definitely a bit of a size advantage there, even though we can't see the full extent of it, because then McDonald crouches down to do like a Street Fighter type stance. Bit of a size advantage there, nothing major though, nothing major, just a little bit taller. Now we've got Chaz Skelly against Mr. Jordan Griffin. Two fighters that couldn't look any different. Chaz Skelly looking like rocking the dad bod, while Jordan Griffin looking like an extra in some Flashdance style 1980s movie, rocking a very cool haircut and looking in great shape. Looks quite small there though. I wonder if Chaz Skelly's going to have a size advantage here. Let's skip ahead to the stare down. Does he have a size advantage? We missed the stare down. Let's go back. Everyone with the stupid wrestling stances and fucking Street Fighter things who want to see the size difference, stop fucking around, boys. Nah, they look about the same size. Nothing major there. Then this is Mr. Katona against Mr. The award for the best name on the card definitely goes to this guy, Hunter Azur. What a fucking name. His parents were very, very kind to him with that name. Wish I had a name like Hunter Azur. But here he is, looked absolutely amazing on the scales. This is his UFC debut. Certainly looks amazing here as well. Katona is quite small for a bantamweight. Katona looking excellent here. Let's see. I don't think there's going to be any size difference or anything major to talk about. Ooh, maybe there is. Hunter Azur definitely looking like the physically bigger man here. Not that taller, but definitely bigger, more physically imposing. And with both these guys being grapplers, that could be a big factor. Hunter Azur, definitely the more physically imposing fighter. Definitely with a bit of a size advantage. I just want to rewind and make sure they're both wearing footwear, because sometimes, obviously, someone's barefoot, someone's got footwear on. That can make the size difference look worse than it is, but they are both wearing footwear. Katona's in trainers, Azur's in flip-flops. So, yeah, definitely a bit of a size physicality advantage. Now, this is the fight I'm most interested in to watch the weigh-ins of, because Cole Smith is a giant. He is a giant bantamweight of 5'11". It looked like he had a pretty good weight cut. And his opponent, whose name I keep forgetting as he's making his UFC debut, Miles Johns, very, very small for a bantamweight. He's only 5'7". So I am expecting Cole Smith to absolutely tower over this guy, over Miles Johns. But he looks very confident, trains at Fortis MMA, looking very healthy here. But both guys are primarily grapplers, and we do know that there are weight classes for a reason. We do know the size matters in MMA. And another factor to pay attention to is, you see the Canadian flag here. Cole Smith is one of just 3 Canadians competing on this card. Brad Katona and Carl Prepelek, the other 2. Oh, sorry, Tristan Connolly is also Canadian, but that was a late replacement, which is why I said there was only 3. I forgot about him. Sorry, so 4 Canadians competing on this card. You know home advantage is huge in Canada. Absolutely fucking massive. And usually the UFC stack their events in Canada with Canadian fighters. So I'm sure the crowd are going to get behind Cole Smith in a big way here. Look good at the weigh-ins for a guy that's so big at 5'11". I'm very interested to see a size advantage here because he's the underdog against the guy making his UFC debut. Let's see, and certainly does have a decent size advantage there. Not as big as I thought he would, although he's kind of hunched over and leaning forward, whereas Johns is more upright. Are they both wearing footwear? It appears they are. Yes, they are. They're both wearing Reebok trainers. So not as big a size advantage as I was hoping for. But certainly the size advantage is there. I thought the size advantage would look a lot worse than that. Now we've got Tybura and Sakai. Both guys look pretty standard at the weigh-ins. We just want to skip ahead to the face-off. See what they give us. Tybura looking pretty big actually. For some reason, I think he's looking bigger than usual. I'm going to look that up because he is definitely looking quite thick compared to usual. I want to see what he weighed in at for his last fight. So if I type in UFC on ESPN, ESPN plus 7 weigh-in results, I want to see what he weighed at his last weigh-ins. Shout out to MMA Junkie for giving us the info. So exactly the same. So he weighed in 257.5 for his last fight, and he weighed in 257.5. Wait a minute. Oh no, I'm on the wrong. Sorry, boys. I'm looking for UFC on ESPN plus 7. I thought that was a bit of a crazy coincidence. Am I going to be able to find the article? Who was the main event? Here we go. UFC on ESPN plus 7. Want to see what Tybura weighed in at. This site needs a fucking content delivery network bad. They are slow. Come on, thefightchamber.com. Pay some fucking money and improve your web hosting, boys. Get a content delivery network. Splash the cash a little bit. It's fucking 2019. These page load speeds are not going to cut it in 2019. Come on, it's not even going to load. Jesus Christ. Thefightchamber.com, step your game up. This is more like it. Ikusa.fr. We're on, well, it appears to be a martial arts forum in France, but as long as we get the information we're looking for, who gives a fuck? Right, Marcin Tybura, no information. Come on, how much did he weigh for his last fight? That's all I want to know. Fightmadness.com. Give us the info we need. Please don't translate. Let's have a look. Is it in here? Okay, so yeah, he is heavier than his last fight. So Shamil Abdurakhimov was his last fight. Let's fact check that. Yes, Abdurakhimov. So Tybura weighed in 249 pounds for his last fight. He weighed in 257.5 pounds for this fight. So what are we going to call that? He's going to weigh in about 7 pounds heavier. So he is a bit heavier. Certainly looks a lot softer than usual here. A lot bigger than usual. Both guys pretty stoic though. Neither guys get sucked into any drama, so pretty standard weigh-in. Now we've got Serkinov against Krut. Initially we thought Krut might have had a tricky cut, but maybe he was honey dicking us because he certainly looked happy once he had completed the weigh-in. Rocking the Resident Evil tattoo, which I absolutely love. I think that Resident Evil tattoo is pretty damn cool. And looking very aggressive, very healthy, very much good to go here. As we wait for Mr. Serkinov to come out, will we see any antics from these boys? Serkinov usually pretty stoic. He's kind of got home advantage. I mean, he's not Canadian. Oh, they're giving him the Canadian flag. Interesting. So Serkinov's actually from, where is this flag? I'm usually pretty good with flags. Latvia. So Serkinov is Latvian, but he lives and trains in Canada, and the Canadian fans seem to get behind him, so maybe a bit of home advantage. and looks quite a bit bigger than Jim Crute here, which I didn't expect. Again, not in terms of height or anything like that, but definitely the more physically imposing fighter, like we saw with Hunter Azur and Brad Katona earlier on. Very, very, very nice. Who have we got next? Shoeface. We want to see how Shoeface looks after. It's always going to be a tough weight cut for Shoeface, right? Oh no, we got cut. Guys, can you still hear me? The stream got cut. Oh, wow.